If the headlines have you worried about layoffs, you're not alone. Every economic shift creates uncertainty, but it also creates opportunity for professionals who know how to prepare. In today's video, we're sharing exactly how to protect your career, make yourself more indispensable at work, and position yourself to land faster if you do find yourself unexpectedly on the job market. In this video, you'll learn the warning signs that layoffs are coming, the warning signs that layoffs may be coming before everyone else notices, the strategies that make you more valuable and harder to replace, what to do immediately after you lose your job so you can land your next opportunity faster than most other professionals. Whether you're trying to stay employed or prepare for a possible transition, these strategies can help you stay in control of your career. If you don't know me, I'm Portia of Fly High Coaching, where we've helped thousands of executives and professionals soar to their full potential in their careers. The first thing that you need to do is recognize the signs and prepare before layoffs happen. The professionals who recover the fastest are usually the ones who prepared before they even needed to. So you can do this in a few ways. First, you want to pay attention to early warning signs. So, is your organization going through hiring freezes? Have there been budget cuts, reduced spending? One thing that happens a lot is someone will hear that a whole strategy or campaign or budget has been drastically reduced. That's something you should worry about. Leadership changes or restructuring. If there also is this increased pressure on performance metrics, more so than before. Also, if you hear rumors of mergers, acquisitions, or reorganization, those can all be warning signs. You also need to stop assuming that your job is safe. I can't tell you how many high performers think that they're untouchable. And it's important to know that you can still be impacted by layoffs even if you are a top performer. Seniority also doesn't guarantee protection from layoffs, and entire departments can be eliminated. I recommend that everyone conduct a career risk assessment. So ask yourself a few questions. How visible are my contributions? How visible are my contributions to people outside of my team and my department? What revenue or strategic value do I provide? If I left tomorrow, would leadership feel the impact? If you want help structuring your job search the smart way, then download our free Smart Job Seekers Guide linked below. You also want to update your career assets immediately. And by career assets, I mean your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your list of accomplishments or achievements. If you have a professional bio, that's something else you can update. If you are in a more artistic field and you have a portfolio or work samples, a lot of times that's online on a website. Those are some things that you can update. Then you want to build what I call an emergency career plan. So this involves quite a few different things. First, there's finances. So what's your financial contingency plan? Do you have savings? What would you do if something happened to your primary source of income? You also want to start building a networking list of contacts that you know from past companies, professional associations, different types of organizations. You can also put together a target list of companies that you want to focus on. You also want to think about building recruiter relationships. Working with recruiters directly is one of the most underutilized strategies that I see executives and professionals just completely overlook. And then you also want to think about a personal branding strategy. I know personal branding sounds very scary to a lot of people, but there is a way that you can do it so that it feels comfortable to you, but that it's also effective. Second, you want to become too valuable to ignore in your company. Now, we know that you can't control whether layoffs happen, but you can increase your perceived value and reduce your own personal risk of being laid off. To do that, you want to focus on revenue and business impact that you are either a part of or completely responsible for. Executives and leaders often care about things like revenue generation, cost savings, process improvements, risk reduction, customer retention, user experience metrics sometimes as well. So all of those types of metrics and figures that impact business outcomes, those are the sorts of things that you want to focus on. Another question that you can ask yourself is, how does my work directly impact business results? Make a list of those things. That's going to help you to focus on revenue and business impact. You also want to make sure that your contributions are visible. So many talented professionals are overlooked because no one knows what they're doing. You don't want that to be you. So, to make sure that you're visible, you want to share wins appropriately. And there can be a lot of nuance to this depending on your team and your organization. But you also want to send project updates. That is one of the best ways to be visible for the right reasons. You also want to document your achievements. So some people have a brag book, some people have just a file or a folder in their email where they kind of save their achievements. And then you also want to speak up at the right time during meetings. All of this helps you to position yourself well, but also to become the go-to person. And the go-to person is someone who stands out from everyone else. They can solve difficult problems. They might volunteer for strategic projects. They could be cross-trained in multiple functions or different roles. And because of this, a go-to person often develops expertise that others don't have. You also want to strengthen relationships internally. So again, this kind of goes back to networking, and some people have a lot of energy around this. But the truth is that people protect those that they trust. So for that reason, you need to think about your relationships and how strong they are. Invest in relationships with your manager, cross-functional partnerships, the people on other teams, executive visibility, and then also mentorship opportunities. A lot of companies don't have a formal mentorship program. If your organization doesn't, then you just have to be a little bit more creative about how you identify a mentor and approach them. Also, you want to continue building future skills. So employers prioritize people who could solve tomorrow's problems. Those types of people are who they think of as invaluable. So when you think about future skills, a lot of things come up. First, you can think about what a lot of people consider soft skills. So leadership is a really big one. Hard skills or technology skills. So AI is huge. Technology literacy, knowing different platforms and software programs, change management, strategic communication, data and analytics skills also are really important and will be seen as helpful in the future. And then lastly, if you are laid off, you want to move on quickly, but strategically. So many people pick up the quickly and lose the strategically, and that's what I'm here to help you with. I really think it's the biggest mistake that professionals make is they either move on too quickly or they wait too long to take the right action. So if you are laid off, you don't want to take it personally. Layoffs are often business decisions, and high performers, they lose their jobs too. It's important to remember that your worth isn't determined by one employer. So you want to start networking immediately. Most opportunities come through relationships, not just using your resume to apply for a job cold online. You want to reach out to former colleagues, industry peers, recruiters, mentors, and then also professional associations where you know people gather that you've been to before or that you just find interesting because it's in your industry or you have that skill set, some affinity that you have for that association. You want to avoid the apply to everything strategy. I also call this the spray and pray approach. That's when you're just applying for hundreds of random jobs just because they're open. Instead, you want to target your ideal companies. And earlier in this video, I talked about making a targeted list. So you want to go back to that. Clarify your value proposition. A lot of people have issues with that. We have a whole podcast episode on developing your value proposition. And all of this really helps you to focus your search. So quality beats quantity here every time. You also want to build a personal marketing campaign. Again, I know some people are sighing because they're like, I'm not a marketer. I don't want to be one. There are some ways that you can think like a marketer for your career. In doing that, you can create things like a strong LinkedIn presence. We also create what we call LinkedIn makeovers for clients. So if your LinkedIn profile is not getting the type of visibility and the responses that you want, it's just a clue that you might need some assistance with LinkedIn. Writing thought leadership posts and putting those on LinkedIn. Again, it doesn't have to be every day. Don't have to be overwhelmed by it. Networking. So creating a network outreach plan is something else that we help our clients with. So you know what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing it without any overwhelm. Again, you can create what I call a clear elevator pitch. So many people have issues with elevator pitches. Again, we've talked about this in the past, but you really want to find something that resonates with you, that you can say at a networking event, or if you just kind of bump into someone at the grocery store. And you want to be consistent with your personal brand messaging. So for LinkedIn, for example, you might want to talk about the same 3 to 5 topics over and over again. And while it might seem kind of boring to you, other people who view your posts will begin to remember you and recognize you for specific topics. And then finally, you want to use the transition as an opportunity. So you can ask yourself a few questions again. Do I want another role like this? Is it time for leadership advancement? I've had so many clients who were laid off and realized, you know what? I should have been marketing myself or focusing on more leadership or senior level opportunities. Should I pivot industries? Same thing. Sometimes I've had clients who were laid off that realized I don't even want to be in this industry anymore. What industry interests you now? And then ask yourself, is this an opportunity to pursue a bigger goal? Sometimes layoffs can really become a catalyst for your next level of success. Layoffs can feel scary and uncertain, but the professionals who come out the strongest are the ones who prepare before they react. So I want you to remember 3 strategies. First, you want to recognize the warning signs and get prepared. Second, you want to increase your value and become harder to replace. And third, if a layoff happens, you want to move quickly and strategically. Your career is too important to leave to chance. The best time to prepare for a transition is before you need one. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more career and leadership advice. And download our free Smart Job Seekers Guide to help you stand out and land opportunities faster. We'll see you in the next video.